All right. So yeah, good morning, everyone, and what a nice presentation we've just experienced. AI is surely a hot topic, and as engineers, we need to understand how to better leverage the trend in our advantage. In a way, it ties pretty nicely with the topic of my presentation, as I'm going to be speaking about navigating your career as a JavaScript developer. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Gonzalo Beviglia. I was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I relocated to the Netherlands 6 years ago. I got an engineer's degree from University of Buenos Aires. And yeah, I have been working professionally as a software engineer in many different kinds of companies, from consulting firms to product companies based in Latin America, Europe, the US. I currently work at Box as a staff software engineer, focusing mostly on our electronic signature product, so when you sign online. And like many Argentinians, I love to do barbecues and pair it with some wine, especially when the weather is like this. I'm getting a little bit of FOMO being here, but I'm loving it too. So yeah, I have presented in this venue last year, although a different conference, speaking about observability for React applications using OpenTelemetry. Verona also has a special place in my heart, as this is where I came for my honeymoon 2 more or less years ago. The picture you're seeing was taken here in some vineyard, so there's wine involved. So yeah, over the course of my career, I have witnessed a lot of different career ladders, ways of setting objectives, ways of working to deliver software, and ways in which all of these come together to build a promotion case. In this presentation, I'll share some of the learnings and things I believe are relevant when thinking about your own career. I'll start with the sets of skills one needs to develop to grow in the software industry. We'll then follow with a typical career ladder that can be found in most companies, let's say, most large, medium tech companies, from junior engineer to principal to distinguished to fellow and beyond. And after that, I'll cover the 4 career paths that a software engineer can take during their journey. And we'll continue with some common challenges and opportunities we face. And in the end, I'll finish with some personal tips that, well, I use myself and I find them useful, that you can use to build your own promotion case. If you need to leave with one thing from my presentation, is this one: you own your career. Think about your very long-term goals. Think about your retirement age, whether it's when you're 70 or 45, and what you'll do until it arrives, right? Do you want to retire early? Do you want to work 4 days a week, 5 days a week, 7 days a week? Up to you. But if you don't plan for it, somebody else for sure will, without your interests in mind. So take ownership. Our first topic will cover the different skill sets a software engineer needs to develop during their career. Technical skills are the ones software engineers use to design, to develop, and maintain software systems and applications. They include programming languages, frameworks, tools, methodologies, algorithms, data structures, testing, debugging. We have a whole conference that just scratched the surface on the technical skills. And these are the most common skills one thinks about, and the ones we usually prepare for an interview, for example. In my opinion, they are important, but a small set of skills one needs to develop if you want to grow. We then have communication skills, and this ties pretty nicely with the previous presentation. At least for now, software engineering is done by humans, so we are kind of safe. I believe we are really safe, but still. And so we need to communicate effectively with different stakeholders, clients, users, managers, colleagues. And communication skills involves being able to understand and convey technical concepts in a clear and concise manner, asking relevant questions, giving concrete feedback, adapting to different communication styles and preferences, and yeah, using appropriate tone and language. We are, in the end, working. We are professionals, not at home, just chilling. Leadership skills are the ones we use to lead projects, initiatives, teams. They include planning, organizing, coordinating, making decisions, problem solving in general. They're also about being able to define and communicate the vision, the mission of the team, of the project we are leading, resolving conflicts and issues when they arrive, because they always arrive, and inspiring and empowering the team that works with us. We then have strategic skills, which we use to align our technical solutions with the business goals and objectives of our organizations or clients. And they involve being able to understand and anticipate the needs and expectations of our users, of our customers, of our clients, identifying the opportunities that present themselves in the market or in the industry, measuring and improving our own development, and proposing new ideas and improvements. Lastly, we have mentorship skills. These enable engineers to share their knowledge and expertise with other engineers and help them grow their own careers. This can happen in the form of teaching, of coaching, advising, supporting, just encouraging, modeling, showing by example. But yeah, they involve being able to identify and assess your mentors, your mentees, weaknesses and opportunities for growth, and creating a trusting relationship with them based on mutual respect. So during the course of your career, you will for sure see opportunities to put this in practice. It's pretty natural, but you can also be proactive and start learning about them right now. There's a lot of books, seminars, some conferences even that touch upon these topics. I particularly, I am a book person, so some examples of books where you can learn from are Good Strategy, Bad Strategy by Richard Rumelt, Radical Candor by Kim Scott, High Output Management by Andy Grove from Intel, Tribal Leadership, you wanted a picture? Tribal Leadership by Dave Logan. I can share the slides after if you need them. Tribal Leadership by Dave Logan, Presentation Zen by Gar Reynolds, and The Innovator's Dilemma by Clayton Christensen. You might not agree with what is said in all of these books, like with any other topic you read about, but they for sure provide an interesting perspective to nurture all of these different skill sets. And before I start speaking about career levels, I want to make a short, small disclaimer. Although the names of the roles and titles you're going to see now are not universal across the entire industry, they are pretty common in medium to large tech companies. Each organization is then free to name the titles as they see fit, and also different organizations value things differently, and some might even have an internal or external incentive to boost some titles, maybe to charge more to paying customers or something like this. So when I speak about the different levels, take it as a progression of the needed skills we just covered and not a guide to titles themselves. So yeah, the first title we usually encounter is the junior software engineer. I started there. I think many here did too. This is the entry-level position for software engineers who have just maybe graduated from university, a coding bootcamp, or maybe who have less than, let's say, 2 years of professional experience. Although years of experience in general are not representative, they pretty often appear in career ladders, in benchmarks, in job descriptions or applications, so just treat them with a grain of salt. So yeah, junior engineers usually work on well-defined tasks, follow established standards and practices both from the company they work on or the industry in general, and they need to develop usually their technical skills, their communication skills and problem-solving skills to advance to their next level in their career. And their scope of work tends to be like one task at a time, and the work they do tends to impact one single team or the project they are currently working in. Then we have the meteor software engineer, medium, meteor, mid-level. Some companies even put like numbers here because they break it apart in multiple levels. But this is the intermediate level position for software engineers who maybe have 2 or more years of professional experience and have demonstrated some level of proficiency, at least in their technical domain. They can work with minimal guidance and can handle complex tasks independently or as part of a team. They can design, implement, maintain software systems that meet certain requirements, and they also contribute to code reviews, to documentation, to testing, to debugging, and they need to develop their leadership skills, their technical skills, and communication skills to advance to the next step. Their scope of work is maybe one sprint at a time, and in the sprint, for those who don't do Scrum, is around 2 weeks, depends, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And their work, again, tends to impact a single team. Sometimes you have spikes and you impact more, but in general, you work within your team or project. And then we have the senior software engineer, which is the, let's call it the advanced level position for software engineers who have more than 5 years or so of professional experience, have shown excellence in their technical domain. And senior software engineers are responsible for leading projects, initiatives, for leading teams, ensuring the quality, the reliability, all the ilities of the software, the non-functional requirements, let's call them. They can architect, they can design, they can optimize software systems that solve complex problems or are really, really challenging. They also can provide guidance, feedback, coaching to other junior, media, or even senior engineers. And again, to advance to the next level, you need to develop your leadership skills, your strategic skills and thinking, and communication skills, usually. Scope of work here, again, it's a little larger. It tends to be maybe multiple sprints or even 1 quarter, 2 quarters at a time. Their work usually impacts a single team, but often the division or the whole organization you work for. That is kind of expected. And it's something worth mentioning. I discovered it, let's say, pretty late, so I hope you already know this, but having excellent technical skills can usually get you to this point, but it is pretty hard, in my experience, from what I've seen, to progress beyond a senior engineer role if you only have the technical skills and not all of the other. Next in our ladder is the staff software engineer title. This is, we can call it the expert level position for software engineers. Maybe 10 years of professional experience or more, have achieved a level of recognition and impact in their technical domain. And staff software engineers are the technical leaders usually in their organizations and drive the technical direction and culture. They can create, improve, scale systems that have significant impact in the business or even the industry as a whole. And of course, they can mentor, coach, and inspire other engineers across their own team or even the whole organization. And yeah, to be pretty good, solid at this level, you need to really develop your mentorship skills, your strategic skills, and leadership skills. All the technical side is kind of take it for granted once you reach there. Like, people tend to trust your technical skills. And the vision and strategy you think about tends to be, let's say, in the lower end from 1 or 2 quarters, but usually maybe 1 year, 2 years it's pretty common. And it's worth mentioning that before reaching this point, you tend to have opportunities to go into something like people management, becoming an engineering manager or tech lead, so your career tends to open up, so there are decisions to be made. And oftentimes career ladders include both staff engineers and senior staff engineers for, let's say, engineers that consistently excel at this level, but are not maybe ready to go into a principal software engineer title, which tend to be subject matter experts on a key domain or tech stack. They have, let's say, 15 years of experience, number like that, have achieved both internal and external recognition in the field they work on. They are able to anticipate industry trends and drive strategy for the company to accommodate to them. They have maybe even pioneered a choice in technology for their company, or worked in initiatives that generate larger sources of revenue or impact the company's reputation. And usually they can break down very large, complex systems into smaller ones that can be maybe executed by less experienced engineers. This is a skill that's pretty hard, but they're able to do it. And similar to staff roles, many career ladders have a senior principal counterpart for people that can excel at this level. And from what I've seen, at this level, you're already thinking in years terms. Yes, you execute or help execute in quarters, but your mind is set in 2025, 26. And yeah, their impact is usually the whole organization or even the software industry. And then this one is pretty rare to see. I've only met with a couple that have this title, but distinguished fellow, beyond, some call them like hand of the CTO or something like that, are roles for engineers that really pioneered new technologies, are leading experts in the industry. They launched and designed major parts of infrastructure, system, products. They may even have invented some piece of technology. I mean, inventors of languages work somewhere. And they own and lead multiple domains that have strategic impact. And they have consistently shown over their career that they can design and develop architecture. It's not like, oh yeah, you did one, hooray, you're now distinguished. No, you need to be consistent in your results. And yeah, their vision and strategy here, again, it's 3, 4, 10 years in the horizon. And yeah, for sure they impact the whole organization. The whole organization, they set the direction, and well, of course, they impact the industry. So the different levels we discussed before are kind of part of the classic or most common individual contributor path. You don't have direct reports usually. And the individual contributor path is just one of the maybe 4 that I want to speak about today that you can choose from. And yeah, this is the technical leadership part, the technical leadership path, sorry, for software engineers who want to become the technical leaders in their organizations, the domain, the industry. It involves moving up the ladder we just been through, junior, senior, staff, principal, wherever you want to go. And yeah, technical leaders are responsible for driving the technical direction and the vision of their project teams or departments. And again, technical skills are very important here, but you need the rest if you want to really be able to influence your company, your team, or the industry as a whole. Then we have another very common one, the engineering management path. But this is for software engineers who want to maybe transition into people management and like pure leadership roles. This path typically involves moving from, say, a senior engineer to an engineer manager, then director, vice president of engineering, heads, a lot of titles there. And yeah, they're responsible for leading, for managing, for developing teams or groups of software engineers. There is a lot to be learned in this path. There's a lot of human touch also involved. But a lot of people also have the ability to kind of pendulum back and forth between management, individual contributor path, which brings a lot of knowledge and perspective and cross-pollination. And depending on the company you work for, this role can be more or less technical. In some large or even small companies, some managers are completely hands-off, meaning they just don't code anymore, even if they are really technically knowledgeable. We then have the hybrid path for software engineers who want to kind of balance these both previous worlds, having both technical and managerial responsibilities. And the path usually involves moving from senior to maybe a tech lead position or team lead position, maybe even manager title. In general, people who take this approach need to pick one of the career ladders because companies don't usually have a ladder for the hybrid approach. You are on one side or the other, and you kind of bridge both kinds of responsibilities. And lastly, we have the freelance or contractor path for software engineers who want more flexibility maybe or autonomy over their work. You usually work as an independent contractor or a consultant for different clients or companies. You manage your own time, you manage your own budget, your resources, you negotiate your own contracts and rates. And different contractors or freelancers can focus on different skill sets. You can freelance as an engineer, as a technical lead, as a manager, as a fractional. This is a new concept for me, and these days, fractional CTOs, fractional executives, meaning you advise, maybe even you're the CTO of multiple companies at the same time. But yeah, speaking about career paths, I will not cover building your own company, starting your own tech company as a career path. In that scenario, you even have to learn more skills than in this one that already requires some business skills involved if you want to do good, I guess. So yeah, each of the career paths and levels I covered have their own unique challenges, but let's take a look at some that are present in almost every level, every company. The first one is rapid technological development. Software engineering is a very dynamic and evolving field. We've just discussed AI and how it impacts us. It requires us to keep up to date with latest technologies, trends, concepts. We need to constantly learn new skills and tools and change to adapting requirements. And yeah, this challenge can be overwhelming and stressful for some engineers who may feel maybe they're falling behind, maybe I haven't used Copilot anymore, am I missing out, am I becoming obsolete? My advice here is to treat your knowledge as you would your investment portfolio. There is an opportunity cost in learning something new versus deepening the knowledge you already have. Most people cannot just learn absolutely everything. The second challenge is being data-driven. Sometimes, or oftentimes, it is not easy to put a number around our contributions. Did you write more lines of code? Did you delete more lines of code? Did you close more Jira tickets than other engineers? But when thinking about data, keep always the business in mind. Assume that the data or the evidence you're going to present will be read by a non-technical person, even if it is. If you worked on a refactor that simplifies the code, build a narrative around how features were able to ship faster, maybe after it, or if you introduce a new process, elaborate on what recurring issues you were able to solve for the team that started using it. Then we have time limitations that are not really unique to our industry. Software engineering, like many others, is a deadline-driven field that requires us to complete projects or tasks within a given time, often shorter than what we would like. And this can be challenging and exhausting for some engineers who may encounter delays, interruptions, a lot of meetings, scope creep, scope changing. But yeah, unfortunately, deadlines are a usual way of interfacing with the real world or coordinating multiple efforts. For example, if a regulation changes by the end of this year, well, there's not much, I mean, unless we hire very good lawyers, there's not much we can do about it. Or if we have a large sporting event for which we want to release a new feature just before it, well, we cannot change the event. The event will happen whether our features are there or not, but we can change what we release or what we work on. And yeah, although this is a joke, it is sometimes feels very real, but in software development, there's like an iron triangle of good, cheap, and fast. But you can pick two of them, and even sometimes maybe just one, depending on the time constraints and resources. I skip one. So yeah, software engineering is also a feedback-based field that requires us to receive and give feedback on our work or performance. We need to act on constructive feedback in this sense. And this can be challenging or difficult or uncomfortable even for some engineers that may struggle with criticism, with communication or conflict. Feedback tends to come in the shape of, yeah, even from code reviews, from RFC comments, from design reviews, 101s, performance reviews, customer feedback, sales feedback. There's feedback everywhere. And lastly, and I like this one very much, I don't know why, but whenever humans have competing priorities or sources of power or alternatives of direction and strategy, politics come into play. Whether we see it or not, whether we like it or not, politics are part of our professional lives most of the times. We operate in a collaborative field that requires us to work with different stakeholders, managers, colleagues, other engineers. And we need to navigate the politics and power dynamics of our own organization. There is usually a small set of positions we aspire to, senior staff, fellow, beyond, and so many people get access, so few people get access to it. This is a very sensitive topic oftentimes, as many software engineers become disillusioned when their company becomes large enough and suddenly there's politics in place, there's bureaucracy, I just want to code and be rewarded for it. But yeah, you might have completed a very large and complex project by yourself, but if nobody is aware of the work, would you be able to justify its importance? Do you deserve a promotion for it? I don't know, it's a very sensitive topic. But yeah, engineers often realize about the importance of this too late in their careers, at least for me it happened that way. And the summary here is it doesn't really matter if you care about politics, because politics for sure will care about you. So keep that in mind. So shifting to a more positive tone, let's take a look at the different categories of opportunities that can present ourselves during our careers. Some organizations value some more than the others, but in general, they all see value in it. The first one is leading projects, initiatives, or team. That this might involve designing, developing, delivering software while also building team relationships. And to successfully do this, you need to put, of course, your technical skills, your leadership skills, strategic skills into action. If you haven't done this before, my suggestion would be to start small, maybe with a tech stack you know, or a domain in your organization that you know really well, or even working with people you already worked with. Less change, the easier. And if you already led some projects but want bigger challenges, my advice, or what I try to do, is a little bit of internal networking, speak with my manager, speak with my manager's manager, their peers, see what's coming up next in the roadmap, throw my name in the hat, hey, I would like to volunteer to lead it. But yeah, show proactiveness, because progressing in your career is a lot about having larger impact, and leading projects tends to be a pretty straightforward way of then showing that impact. Secondly, we have, as software engineers, we have the ability to influence and decide on the technical direction or even the culture of our company. We do so by proposing new ideas, new tools, innovations, new processes. And as we touched upon before, it is key that we never forget about the business when doing so. Just changing from Vue to React, from React to Angular, if you like to, just because we like it or because it's like more modern, it's pretty hard to justify. But can you build a narrative along the lines of shipping features faster, of hiring better talent? But yeah, these and more questions need to be answered when driving technical culture. If we care about quality but do nothing about it, well, complaining will not take us very far. We need to actually do something. Thirdly, yeah, new engineers are hired, teams grow, teams change, new colleagues arrive from other teams. Our industry changes a lot in terms of team composition. The average tenure in small companies is maybe 1.5 years, for larger is 2.5 years, 3. It's pretty short. So this means you get a lot of opportunities and exposure to mentoring and coaching challenges. Some companies even have their own mentorship or onboarding programs. If they don't, propose one, be proactive. And then we have, open source. This is a pretty interesting way to leverage our technical experience. You collaborate on a project that has a lot of public visibility. Anybody can see your work, even companies that want to hire you see how you work, the quality of your work before they even hire you, and you're also giving back to the community that has gave us so much already. And this next one is a little bit meta, given we're in a JavaScript conference right now. I am currently using this opportunity, but yeah, with public speaking events, you expose yourself, maybe not as much as with open source. And yeah, I don't know if you've noticed, but besides from building my own personal brand, it's an opportunity for your employer also to get some visibility. The slides I'm currently using are part of the Box branding guidelines. You can see Box written in some of them, and yeah, after conferences, people sometimes come up to me like, hey, your topic was really interesting, Box seems like a nice place to work, apply for positions. It's a really good win-win-win, because the conference and you also win from it scenario. So yeah, for this last section of my presentation, I will share some tips I use myself that are very useful for building your promotion case. And in case you don't know what this is about, when you are trying to get promoted from junior to mid-year to senior, companies usually decide on this as a group. It is not that your manager comes with a magic wand. It's like, yeah, you are a senior engineer now, but a larger group of people needs to agree on it. And because of this, a promotion case or a promotion packet is put together that showcases your successes and achievements, and oftentimes measured against other promotion packets that want the same role. The first tip towards building your case, and this is the one I use the most, is journaling. Write down the things you are working on as you work on them. Take down notes on the initiatives you led, you participated. Be data-driven when the context is fresh on your mind. It is pretty hard to look back at what you've done over the last 2 years. You usually have recency bias and remember what you worked on in the last 6 months or give more importance to it. let alone getting data for the impact you had 2 years ago. So when the time comes to build your case, go over your notes, select the ones that fit better with the role you're aspiring to, with the description of it, and it will save you a lot of time. The second tip focuses on alignment. Make sure your manager is aligned with your expectations and agrees with you in moving forward to the next level. If your manager is not sold, yeah, then other managers will be pretty tough to convince. And if they think you're not ready, just ask for feedback, areas of improvement. If you are working on things that maybe they say are not helping towards your case, well, ask them to help you to source projects that go in that direction. Also very important part of building your case is understanding who is responsible for it. Who is responsible for doing it, in which format. Are you supposed to write your own case? Is your manager supposed to do it? Does HR need to be involved? Can you write in any format, a Google Doc, or there's a specific Confluence template? Ultimately, you are the main driver, but it is better to understand what the process is before starting it. My next tip to you is to pick your battles. As we mentioned before, managing priorities and your time is a big challenge in the software industry. How does this relate to building your promotion case? Well, if you have, for example, 10 projects that showcase only your maybe hard skills, and you have none of them that showcase your soft skills, well, for some positions it might be pretty easy to reject your package. You need to understand maybe how to get exposure to the other challenges that you're lacking. My tip also here is keep your career ladder open. Remind yourself what are you building towards and what kind of projects align with that, also as you take notes of what you're currently working on. And yeah, the last tip is to understand how your future peers will see you. If you're a mid-year engineer, talk with some senior engineers. Do people in that level see you as an equal? Do you work in similar initiatives? These and other questions can just be resolved by speaking with them, having maybe a sync once every 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. And yeah, ask them what they are working on, what is next on their plate, what keeps them busy, and how you can help them, evidently. Because if you scratch their back, maybe in the future they will scratch yours. You need to remember the political aspect of the game. And again, if you need to remember one thing from my presentation, it's this one. You own your career. You should be the main advocate for it. Think about your very long-term goals. Do you want to grow? Are you okay in your current position? Do you want a 30-year career? You want to quit tomorrow? Think about it. If you don't plan for it, somebody else will. It won't have your interests in mind, so take ownership and enjoy the ride. That's it for me, and thank you for your time. I'm leaving my email in case somebody wants to follow up or wants the slides. And before opening up for questions, I have 2 more things in my backpack. I have a bribe or incentive for the first 2 questions. As I said, I come from Amsterdam, and in the Netherlands we have this very famous chocolate that is...
I have a question.
Maybe the audience can get an opportunity.
Yeah, we have 5 minutes, perfect for a couple of questions. So raise your hand.
Bribe.
Otherwise,
This is not sponsored, by the way. I wish, but it's not.
What's your name? Hello, I'm Nancy. I'm also Latina.
Yeah.
I'm from Mexico. So I want to know, how was your experience? Because I come from Mexico, but I'm living here in Milano since 3 years ago. And of course, it's been a ride. So how has been your experience as a technical developer, now some kind of a leader, as a person coming from a whole different culture, and now living in Netherlands that I imagine it's very different?
Yeah. Oof, very loaded question. Where to start? Definitely the cultural differences of moving abroad are really challenging. First of all, you're changing your whole life. You're moving to a different country. Everything is new. Going to the supermarket. I don't speak the language. It's terrible in that sense. But what helps, at least me in the Netherlands, is that it's a pretty expat-friendly country. There's a lot of international people around. All of my colleagues, I think I have like 3 Dutch colleagues in like the office that is like 70 people. The rest are from all over the world, so you really have this sense of belonging. And what I would add, maybe as a leader, now I'm working at Box, I think even like being Latino, I like to think I have some sort of competitive advantage, at least in Box, because Box has this concept of employee resource communities. One is for Latin people, there's one for Pride, for diversity, inclusion in general, parents, and I'm not only a technical leader, but the leader of this employee community. And well, Box really encouraged me to do so, so I feel I don't know, I'm not a poser being the leader of the Latin community because I am Latin. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, but yeah, it's pretty challenging. And you can choose between milk nougat, I don't know, and Ben and Jerry's white strawberry cheesecake. It's in Dutch, that's why I'm... This one? Okay. Last one.
Hello, Marco. So you touched on it at some point. You know, growing up in your career, you get to the point where the funnel shrinks, right? There are only so many CTOs, only so many VPs, et cetera, et cetera. And often companies at scale, they plan for how many seniors in teams and stuff like that, and your growth is kind of capped by the fact that there isn't that open role in your organization. How would you advise to people trying to grow beyond the obvious, you know, get another company sort of thing, but how would you advise them to navigate this complexity and understand if the ceiling is their own development or like company, like how to explore that? Is there any advice?
Yeah. Well, I experienced this a lot. I didn't use my own tips, I think, but if I would have, the 2 things I would consider would be, first, be realistic. If you are being told there's only, I don't know, open position for 1 principal engineer, well, consider the fact that many people will want that same role and you'll have competition, or maybe even they will hire externally. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't take it as a disillusionment if I won't get picked. I mean, yeah, I would sulk a little bit for a couple of days, but I think those are the rules of the game. And the second tip would be, even if you are told there's only maybe 1 position you're aspiring to, or 5, and they're kind of taken, be very aware for when that context changes, because companies grow, they get more budget. Maybe as software engineers, we're not exposed to all of that budget planning, but managers tend to be. So my tip here would be revisit the conversation every once in a while. I mean, don't be too heavy on it, like, do we have open position now? But speak about it pretty openly. And yeah, in the end, oftentimes, unfortunately, the way you grow in this industry is by being hired in the position you want to be. It's pretty unfortunate because to grow, sometimes you need to leave your colleague or work that you really like. And the counterpart of that, which is like a tricky situation, is when you say, oh yeah, I'm leaving for this company because they are promoting me. Well, pretty soon you get a counter offer from the company. Yeah, but we also can make you a senior or a staff, so maybe you can stay. And I say the situation is tricky because in a way they see value in you, they want you to stay, but in a different way, maybe it's too late. Whenever it happens to me, I never try to stay because somehow the relationship is a little bit broken. So if you have direct reports, take care of them and see if they want to grow and they cannot, and talk about this openly. No more chocolate. We have time for more, or that's it?
No, we have finished the time.
40 minutes on the spot.
So thank you. Thank you, Gonzalo.